How did Brooklyn get this done?
Well, I think you had two players in Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, who really wanted to be in New York and were interested in living, playing in New York. And Brooklyn, by every measure, was the preferable option. You look at where that organization, how it's been built. I mean, what Sean Marks and Kenny Atkinson have done in 3+ years, from taking a franchise that was in absolute disrepair, that didn't have a lot of hope, didn't have draft picks, had bad contracts on, and, methodically rebuilt that organization to a point where, listen, I thought at the end of last season and into this year, I think the Nets would have been happy to be able to just get at the table and get meetings with KD and Kyrie Irving. Never mind sign them in free agency, and yet that's exactly what they've done.
The reaction in this city, as you are well aware, Woj, was in part elation for Brooklyn and in part a feeling that the Knicks, this was just a colossal failure on the part of the New York Knicks and an indication of their standing in the eyes of the big-time players around the NBA. How reasonable a position is that for people to be waking up feeling this morning?
It's a reasonable position. I mean, the way this last decade and a half has played out in New York, it speaks to, listen, to me, it gets back to that Kristaps Porzingis trade last season. And the fact that, listen, they traded a player you could have built around for picks and space. Now, they had a chance as an organization to fix that relationship when a new regime took over. It didn't happen. And that doesn't absolve Porzingis from his part in how that thing got sideways. But you don't give away a player like that on the hope, even the confidence that you're going to get a KD, a Kyrie Irving. And that was part of the thinking. We're going to get one of those guys. We can part with him. Look where they are right now. And it's, I think that move in itself set them back a long, long way.
All right, so well done, Woj, on every single front. Stay with me here. I'm going to come back to you in a couple of minutes for some more on this, but let me take this to the table here because there really are both of those sides. To look at the smile on the face of Richard Jefferson, I want you to focus on the Brooklyn side of this first.
I was going to.
I will allow you to torch the Knicks soon.
No, I was going to.
But let us start with what this means across that river over your shoulder right now for a Brooklyn franchise to bring these two guys in.
Well, I think it means everything. I think you look at the way they have built this team, and they really went into free agency with the ideas like, hey, we want you, we don't need you. And that's not in a disrespectful way. They just made the postseason. They had a young all-star, but they were like, hey, we want to take another step. This is who we want. This is what we've built, and we want to continue building that. And I think that's one of the things that made it so attractive versus them looking to, like the Knicks possibly saying, hey, we need saviors. We need you guys to come in and save us. And I don't think that's what those guys were looking for.
For those of you who don't know our friend Tim Bontemps, he's been here before, covers primarily these Eastern teams in the NBA for us at ESPN, so you know them well. What do you make of Brooklyn being able to pull off, as Woj called it last night, a clean sweep?
I mean, look, I think to Adrian's point, this is really a validation of what Brooklyn has done. To RJ's point, like, this is a team that 3 years ago had no draft picks, had no young players, had no prospects. And they've methodically built this up to the point where they got two of the best players in the league to come play there and be part of what they're building. And look, you can't have guys show up and play on a 20-win team. No. I think this is the latest example of that. Like, the Knicks have, they have the Knicks, they have the franchise of being in New York, being the team that has all the history, but they don't have anything to build around. And the Nets have all the stuff that they can present to them and say, hey, we have a team that can come win right now. We're here.
Now, let's acknowledge, and I fully agree, the Nets had to do this for all of the reasons we've described. They put themselves on the map in a way that, candidly, they have not been before by doing this. But let's not act as though there is not a lot of risk that comes with these moves. You're talking about Kevin Durant, who was a year away from coming back, and the history tells us that injury is a tough one to come back 100% from. Which means that, and at minimum, for a year now, this is Kyrie's team, and we saw how that played out in Boston last year. It wasn't good.
Yeah, but the idea is that for Kyrie, that there's always help coming. Help will come. And he's good friends with DeAndre Jordan. That's part of the reason why these guys took less money.
Right.
So he's showing up into a place. And understand this, Kyrie has been in the league now, I think it's 8-9 years. he gets to pick. This is the first chance he's ever had to pick. He's drafted by Cleveland, traded to Boston. Yes, Boston was a great situation. Yes, Cleveland was a place where he won a championship. But this was an opportunity for him to pick where he wanted to go, where he wanted to live, and really do it his way. So I think that will help Kyrie. That will help this entire organization.
To that point, though, this is Kyrie Irving's opportunity to prove that what everybody said over the past year about him was wrong, right? Everybody thought last year the Celtics were going to be the team to beat in the East. They were not, right? This is Kyrie Irving's chance to show that I wasn't the problem in Boston, and I'm going to be part of the solution in Brooklyn.
Right, you were around that Celtic team a lot, and a little later this morning, we're going to get some more perspective from you on that and how that plays in. But as you saw at the beginning, we are jam-packed this morning. Laura, let's get some more perspective on this.
Yeah, Greeny, here with Sean Farnham and David Jacoby. And look, they're talking about the risk over there, guys, and that's certainly a big part of this. But we do know that at some point, maybe we have to wait a season for it, Sean, but you will see KD and Kyrie playing together for the Nets. How do you look at that marriage of players?
I love the marriage between them. And look, Kyrie is a ball-dominant player. We've talked about that often. But you get Kevin Durant, who is an efficient scorer and has been used to having to share the load. Look at what he's done in Golden State. He only averaged a little bit over 17 shots per game this season. And so he's a guy that's going to be able to get the ball, play off of Kyrie, and when healthy, get that one dribble, two dribble, pull up mid-range jump shot off that right elbow where he loves to score. And I think this is a good partnership moving forward that's going to have Brooklyn a year from now being the team to beat in the East.
I mean, I agree. I completely agree. And also, it's sort of like RJ, to echo what RJ said, this is Kyrie Irving chose this. Kevin Durant chose this. They weren't traded here. This is not an arranged marriage. They chose this to happen. And one thing I love about this move for the Nets, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Like, if you look at the Lakers, they're bringing AD, but they gutted their young core.
Yep.
And the Sixers also lost a lot of players when they brought in big players last year. But they keep LeVert, they keep Allen, they keep Harris, they keep Dinwiddie. They've got a young core to play with Kyrie this year. However, without KD, this team does not host a Game 1 in the playoffs.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.